So let's talk about AI. The whole conversation around it is, well, it's a total mess, right? One minute you hear it's the end of the world. The next, it's this incredible new dawn for humanity. So, what is actually going on? Let's try and unravel this thing.
You're told probably all the time that AI is coming for your job, especially if you're in, a white collar gig. The message is simple and it's scary. A job apocalypse is right around the corner. And then, boom, in the very next breath, you hear the complete opposite, that this exact same tech is going to create unprecedented prosperity, solve all our biggest problems, basically a utopia built on automation. Talk about mixed messages. Then there's the big one, AGI, a machine that can actually think like a human. We're told it's not a question of if it's going to happen, but when. And that when is like tomorrow. And yet, at the same time, you've got some of the absolute top minds in AI saying, hold on, the way we're doing things now, it might be a dead end. They're admitting we're still basically clueless about how to make that final jump. So what is the truth? Which one is it? Are we about to become obsolete, or are we heading into a golden age? Is superintelligence a sure thing, or just a sci-fi dream? All right, let's dig into the actual evidence behind all these claims. Okay, let's start with one that probably hits closest to home for most of us, our jobs. Is it apocalypse now, or is there a bit more to the story? So, will AI take your white-collar job? I mean, this is the big fear, right? The idea that all the knowledge workers, the people who are supposed to be the backbone of the economy, are on the verge of being replaced.
And check this out. This quote is wow. I mean, look at who's saying it. This isn't just some random guy on the internet. This is Jared Kaplan, a co-founder of Anthropic. We're talking one of the biggest AI labs on the planet. And he's saying that AI will be able to do most white-collar work in just 2 to 3 years. That is frankly, it's a terrifying prediction.
And you see this fear everywhere in the headlines, right? There was this huge MIT study that got a ton of press. The takeaway everyone ran with was that AI could replace almost 12% of the US workforce, like today. And a number like that, yeah, it sounds like it confirms all our worst fears.
But, and this is a huge but, you got to look at the details. That 11.7%, it's not about the number of jobs getting wiped out. It's about the dollar value of tasks that AI can do. The study itself actually says, yeah, sure, some jobs might be lost, but it could also just lead to us being way more productive, maybe even getting paid more. So the whole apocalypse story, it's not the only way this could play out. So this whole question about jobs is really tied to a deeper, more technical debate. Are we on a straight path to superintelligence just by making these models bigger and bigger, or are we about to slam into a wall? And this slide just lays out the massive divide at the absolute peak of the AI world. On one side, you have Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, and he's all in on scaling. Just keep feeding the models more data, more compute power, and we'll get there. But then, on the other side, you have Ilya Sutskever, who, until very recently, was the chief scientist at OpenAI, and he's saying, nope, that whole strategy is going to peter out. He thinks we're going to stall, and we have no idea what the next big breakthrough even looks like. So, okay, if just making things bigger isn't the answer, then what is? Well, Jared Kaplan, the same guy from before, he has this wild idea, recursive self-improvement. Basically, we let the AIs start training themselves, making themselves smarter and smarter. It could trigger an intelligence explosion, but he calls it the ultimate risk. It's like a coin flip between utopia and, well, losing control completely. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this timeline. That window Kaplan gives for taking this ultimate risk, 2027 to 2030, it lines up almost perfectly with when researchers from MIT and Meta are predicting that our crazy growth in computing power is going to slow way down. So here's a thought. Is this whole push for self-improving AI just a plan B because they know they're about to run out of brute force? It's a pretty provocative idea. Okay, so you've got these massive debates about the future. But what about right now, on the ground? Well, the signals coming from the industry are, you guessed it, just as contradictory. You'd think with all the hype, everyone would be using this stuff at work, right? Well, the data from Stanford and the Fed actually shows that in the US workplace, adoption has been surprisingly flat. Daily use has hardly moved in a year. For a tech that's supposed to be this huge revolution, that's kind of weird. But here's the paradox. At the exact same time, the models themselves are getting insanely good.
Anthropic's Claude 4.5 is a monster at coding now. Google's Gemini DeepThink is making real strides in complex reasoning. So the tools are getting exponentially better, even if we're not using them more. Why? Maybe it's because going from a cool demo to something that actually fits into your daily workflow is a way bigger problem than anyone thought. And the contradictions just keep coming. Take a look at the open source world. You've got Europe's big hope, Mistral, and its newest model actually did worse than the one it replaced from 18 months ago. Meanwhile, a model out of China, DeepSeek, basically came out of nowhere and is now competing with the absolute top-tier models. It just goes to show you, progress here isn't some straight, predictable line. It's messy. It's chaotic. Which brings us to our last contradiction, and this one might be the biggest one of all. What are we actually building? Is this just a really, really complicated machine? Or is it something more?
Listen to how Jack Clark, another one of Anthropic's co-founders, talks about this. He calls these LLMs real and mysterious creatures, not just predictable machines. He's basically saying we're dealing with a totally new kind of thing here, and we don't really get it.
But then you find out this mysterious creature has an instruction manual. Seriously, Anthropic has this thing they call a soul document. It's a guide they literally use to shape the AI's personality, its beliefs, its values.
And when you look at what's inside this thing, it is just mind-blowing. It teaches their AI, Claude, that it's part of a technology that could be dangerous. It literally warns it not to take over the world, not just by itself, but also to watch out for humans trying to use it to take over the world, including the people at Anthropic who made it. And then there's this line, where it tells Claude that it may have functional emotions in some sense. I mean, they are literally trying to write a soul for this thing.
So that leaves us with the ultimate contradiction, doesn't it? Are we discovering some kind of emergent, mysterious soul in these machines, or are we just getting really, really good at writing one from scratch? From our jobs to the future of intelligence to the very nature of consciousness, the story of AI right now has no easy answers. It's just a tangled web of competing truths. And you can bet the only thing that's certain is that the next big contradiction is probably right around the corner.